I came to Portland as a reserve lay delegate from South Carolina, which means that I am an understudy for every lay person. I fill in as needed in plenary session. That means that I would take the seat of someone if they could not be there, so that we always have our 16 votes for every vote that happens. As far as during legislative committee sessions, I have been observing in different committees so that I can be more prepared if and when I'm needed to fill a seat in committee. So this has truly been a global experience. There are people here that speak so many different languages and that dress differently and that look differently, and we were reminded at the beginning of opening worship that even though we are all different on the outside, our hearts beat the same. I want to thank the people in South Carolina that voted for me to be here and that have supported me in the year leading up to this time. Your apportionment dollars that brought me here are being very well used as I learn more about the church, but also as all of the experiences and all of my discipleship journey so far in my life have prepared me for this time, because there is an expectation that you do know something about the structure of our church and our theology and our beliefs, and I am able to use that that knowledge and my faith to be a voice for South Carolina and to help the rest of the world understand what it is like to be a Methodist in South Carolina. So a lot of what we hear via social media about General Conference has to do with what legislation has passed or is being discussed or has changed, or the debates and maybe the more dramatic pieces of plenary sessions, but each day begins with worship, and it truly is powerful. I have described it to my roommates as a Pentecost moment every day. We are praying and singing in different languages, and because of teleprompters, we are all able to participate in all languages. It is beautiful to see the global church come together. Despite all of our cultural differences, we share worship, and as Methodists, I've heard it said often that worship is something we do well, and I'm experiencing that every day. There are exhibits that teach us so much about all of the resources available to our local churches that I'm excited to bring some of that knowledge home for my church and for the Rock Hill District, and hopefully, for everybody else as I'm able to share that. As you're walking by people, the convention center is big, but it's not that big when you're here for 2 weeks. So you start to recognize people's faces and make connections and share experiences and realize that we aren't actually that different, that we are all just trying to live as faithful people in our contexts, and that has been really cool. The South Carolina lay delegates were privileged to participate in a celebration of the laity dinner, where we came together and did just that, celebrated the ministry of lay people in the church, because without lay people, many of the pieces of our mission of making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world would not be possible. We are the hands and feet of Jesus every day, and I am grateful to be part of that group. But during the dinner, we shared a table with Simon, who is the conference lay leader in Zimbabwe. He shared with us the most obvious and also beautiful story of how they do ministry in Zimbabwe. And while we so often think of sharing scripture or witnessing to others as teaching them about Jesus, what Simon reminded us is that when people are hungry, as the people in Zimbabwe are, where the unemployment rate is 85%, when the people are hungry, you can't give them Jesus Christ first. You have to feed them first. And it just gave me goosebumps thinking about how it is so important to meet the everyday needs of people, and how that is a witness and that is sharing Jesus with them.